Who here knows what a bilateral fasciotomy is? Chances are you've never even heard of it. It's not a very common procedure, but I was lucky enough to be one of those that had to have this surgery done, and I had that done almost 2 years ago. Having surgery on my shins greatly affected my life, including the pain before surgery, the surgery itself, and then the recovery process after. Let's start with the pain before surgery. It began during my sophomore year of high school. I was in sports including cross country, basketball, and track, and those were my life. But this pain started happening when I exercised. It got really bad during basketball and got to the point where it was just unbearable. I couldn't make it through games. My coach would have to take me out because there were tears in my eyes. I just couldn't do it anymore. I tried everything I could for this pain. I had wraparound braces for my shins. I tried tape jobs and physical therapy with electrical stimulation and A-stim. I tried resting. I tried icing. I did everything that I could think of and that doctors told me to do, but nothing was taking care of this pain. I knew that it was time to search for a diagnosis. My mom and I met with my coach, my physical therapist, and different orthopedic surgeons to try to discuss a solution to this or get a diagnosis, but nobody really had anything for me. They did an x-ray and MRI, and I didn't have a stress fracture. I knew it wasn't shin splints, and so I didn't really know what else there was. But then one day I began searching on the internet. I got to Mayo Clinic's website, and it described the pain as beginning soon after you start exercising, progressively worsens as long as you exercise, stops within 30 minutes after exercising, and then eventually may persist longer, possibly lingering for a day or two. I knew that was it. That perfectly described my pain, and so I knew that I had to have this anterior chronic exertional compartment syndrome. My mom and I then met with more orthopedic surgeons to discuss having the test done to confirm the diagnosis. They did decide to do the pressure test for me. It consisted of inserting a needle into my shin, and that measured the pressure, and then they had me exercise and run on the treadmill for a while, and then they put the needle into my shin again, into the muscle compartment, and measured the change in pressure. There was a huge jump in pressure in just that short amount of time, so that confirmed it. I was diagnosed with chronic exertional compartment syndrome due to that pressure increase. Next, we met with more orthopedic surgeons now that we had a diagnosis. I knew I wanted to do something because I wanted to be able to play my senior year of basketball, and I wanted to be able to run during college for the rest of my life and just be able to walk pain-free, because this was just not okay with me to have so much pain doing the things that I loved. So we met with different surgeons and chose to have surgery done at the University of Iowa hospitals in Iowa City. I had Dr. Amendola as my surgeon, who was the orthopedic surgeon and team doctor for the Iowa Hawkeyes, so I was really looking forward to how things were going to go. I had surgery on August 19, 2011, and that was the best decision I've ever made. The procedure involved making 2 incisions on each leg. There was one at the top of my shin and one towards the bottom. They then went under the skin and opened the fascia, which is the covering of the muscle, and they basically cut that from my knee to my ankle to allow for expansion of the muscle during exercise. Once the surgery was done, then that just left recovery. Recovery was a walk in the park compared to the pain I had experienced before surgery. They gave me crutches to use for a couple weeks, but I only needed them for a day. I had surgery done on a Friday and returned to school on Monday. Then I would have to rest after I got home from school and put my legs up to reduce swelling, but the pain was gone. I didn't have any pain with the recovery. After a couple weeks, I was able to begin physical therapy, and around 6 weeks, I started a running program. I was so happy to get back into things, and during this time I also learned that I wanted to be a physical therapist. After all the things I had been through, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want other people to have to wait 2 years to get a diagnosis if I could help, so that was where my dream of being a physical therapist came from. I then returned to the basketball court for my senior season and was able to play pain-free. It was so great, and even just a few weeks ago I ran a half marathon. There were times where I never thought that would even be possible. Who would have ever thought I'd be grateful for something called a bilateral fasciotomy? But I am. Having surgery on my shins greatly affected my life. The pain beforehand, the surgery itself, and the recovery process after. Now that you know what it is, would you have wanted to have the surgery done? I believe anybody that had the pain that I did would choose to have this surgery. Surgery didn't just leave me with the 4 scars on my legs, but it also gave me the experience that led me to my future career and my dream of becoming a physical therapist, and I wouldn't have had it any other way.